There's literally a massive hole in the tyre. So these needed a refurb. Door sensor. Suspension, just to prove the estimate. This is the £11,500, nearly 190,000 mile Tesla Model S 75D. And I've just taken it to Tesla to find out what's wrong with it. I've told them to rip it apart, and if it needs renewing, renew it. If it needs fixing, fix it. If it needs replacing, replace it. So how much do you think this has cost to get it to the point where it's as good as new? You can do another 200,000 miles without breaking a sweat, and it drives just as well as it used to do. Well, multiple four figures later, we have our answer. In the first video, I introduced you to the car itself. It was in a bit of a state, cosmetically, ex-company car, up and down the motorway, done lots of miles. So it needed one hell of a clean, which is what the second video was about, which would be great if you could have watched them already, because this would make more sense. So that was basically cleaning it inside and out, decontaminating it, machine polishing the outside to get it shiny again, and making sure the inside was clean enough to actually sit in. And well, that took 5 full days to get it to that stage. Now though, this is the big one, isn't it? This is the money. This is what has it cost to keep it in tip-top condition. And some things absolutely needed replacing to keep it not just in tip-top condition, but safe. What on earth have they done to this tyre? Look at that. It's got a massive hole in it. The tyre is absolutely obliterated. What the? I mean, that's dangerous, isn't it? This is the tyre that came off the car, the driver's side, the right-hand side of the car front. The back was a lot better, but it was showing similar signs. Just look at the damage to the tyre. Someone has been driving around on this, like this, in this condition before I bought it. There's literally a massive hole in the tyre. Now, apart from it needing 4 new tyres, which is something I knew about in the previous videos, that's quite obvious. I didn't realise it was this bad. But this clearly points to some sort of alignment or likely suspension issues. If you've watched the previous videos, especially the introduction, these had some sort of rim protector on in the past, I guess. Something that essentially meant that they needed more than just they needed a full refurb. I couldn't clean them off, and there's a lot of curbing on pretty much every single alloy, so these needed a refurb. I could have left them as they were and just left them in a state. It's a high mileage car, but I wanted to get it back to some level of nearly newish, and that probably meant a refurb. However, I proper lucked out on this one. You may have noticed in the introduction, this car now has different wheels on it. Essentially what happened is a viewer contacted me and said, I have the same wheels that you've just taken off, only they're silver. They've even got tyres on them as well. Do you want them? I mean, my first reaction and response was, I really appreciate this. But these, all 4 in near perfect condition. They're worth hundreds of pounds on eBay. Stick them on eBay. I can't accept this. He hasn't got a Model S anymore. They were taking up space in his garage, and he basically said, please take them. And, well, I'm not going to say no to that. So that's completely solved, for £0, the wheel issue. That is something that I think that only the fact I have a channel has managed to sort itself out. This isn't normal, but normally you're probably looking at, what, 500-600 quid for a refurb? I didn't need to do the refurb, as I said, but this meant, well, it solved a lot of issues. However, the tyres on them, although very legal, decent amount of tread, I've never heard of some of these before, if I'm honest, and I always use Michelin tyres. Always have done, always in the channel I've mentioned this is what I replace my tyres with. So I stuck with that because I wanted something that's a little bit better than random brand number 3, which is why I've gone for some Michelin E-Primacy tyres. I believe Tesla recommended, or that it came with the Pilot Sport 3s from Michelin. We're on Pilot Sport 5s now, I think, but I use this essentially for commuting. It's a 200-mile round trip to the office. I'm just piling the miles on this car. I want efficiency. I want longevity. I want everything in terms of reducing the running costs of this car and extending, if possible, the range a little bit as well. So that's why the e-Primacy ones are the ones I've gone for. I could have gone for the Pilot Sport tyres, of course, but given my usage pattern, this makes the most sense for me. So, in a few days, they will be getting these e-Primacies, and that's effectively the wheels and tyres done. Tyres are heavy. Ouchie. Some things I already knew about in the previous videos that I mentioned, like the charge door sensor. It didn't know if it was open or closed. It still charged okay. It's just that it kept on coming up with a fault. So that was the first thing for them to fix. You can sort of see here where the bonnet has got some damage because the wipers were essentially eating away at its own bonnet. So the wiper linkages needed replacing. So that's number 2. Third, suspension. You can feel there's something not quite right when you're driving it. Not dangerous, but just it doesn't feel as steady as it should, as planted as a Model S should. And given the tyre wear that you saw earlier, or the uneven tyre wear, that's not just alignment, there's something else going on. So yeah, I think that's going to be the expensive one. The tyre alignment is relatively cheap, but the suspension, that could be the big bucks. Fingers crossed. The car has been dropped off at Tesla, so let's see what they find. It's expensive. Let's go get some free drinks. Alice, we're pilfering. Anything free, grab it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, I've just received the final estimate. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, it's a bit more than I thought it was. Or would be. Especially for the work. I mean, there's a decent amount of work going on, but this would be a lot cheaper, I'm sure, an independent rather than Tesla. Now you're probably thinking, why go to Tesla then? One, there's nobody near me that is willing to or can fix, not just Teslas, but EVs in general. There's a couple that'll give it a shot. I don't want to give it a shot. I want somebody who can say with some authority what's going on. The mobile people that no doubt everybody in the comment section is about to tell me about, again, I know about them, but everything I want doing cannot be done remotely. It is not literally a garage anywhere in the country. This is going to be at Tesla for a week. Parts availability being the key one, and a couple of days worth of staggered work. So it's the only option, and it's Leeds for me. It's still over an hour away each way to get to. But this is the biggest problem at the moment with used EVs: finding a good garage that knows what they're doing to fix stuff. Well, just to prove the estimate. Well, we're back again. It's been a week and the car's been almost fully repaired, but everything urgent has been done, or just been done. Yeah. And now we're going to try and find the car at Tesla, which is... Right, well, I have the car back from Tesla, and I have to say, it definitely rides a lot better than it did. Again, it wasn't dangerous before, but it just felt a little unconnected to the road, should we say. But that's been taken care of. I have everything that's wrong with the car here. So let me give you the rundown of the bill. And I should point out that there are still 2 things. 1, the rattle, and 2, something I'm extremely annoyed at, which needs sorting. That I'm going to have to go back in the early new year to sort out because they're that busy. I'll come back to that in a minute. Let me tell you everything that's happened. So we have, in what appears to be their hourly amount, their hourly charge. Diagnosis: low voltage circuit integrity check, £165. Door, charge port, motorised charge port, remove and replace, £165. Part for the door, £55. These prices are all ex VAT as well, so there's no tax on this, which is another 20% on top of everything I'm telling you. Front suspension noise diagnosis, that's what they still haven't fixed, £165. Now, suspension components, this is what they found. Links, aft lower front pair, remove and replace, £165. So that is the 4-link assembly right, 4-link assembly left, both £164 each. A couple of washers and bolts that are a few quid each. And of course, the cost to replace it, £165. Front aft link assembly, £206. Place that, £165. Rear suspension, remove and replace, another £165. Rear upper link suspension assembly, £172. Four-wheel alignment check and adjust, £165. Perform post-repair validation test drive, £165. Additional work required, £165. Wiper module, remove and replace, £165. Module wiper right-hand drive, £124. And wiper driver right-hand drive, £64. Shock tower brace, this is what's going to happen in the new year. Remove and replace, £165. Shock tower brace, right-hand drive, left-hand drive, so there's two of these, £18.54. And another thing for January, four-wheel alignment check. But hang on a minute, haven't they already done that? Yes, they have. You see, the rattle, they said, look, we can't do it by Saturday, which is when we pick the car up. So do you want to leave the car with us and we'll do it, or do you want to pick it up? So essentially, you've had the car a week, so I'd like the car back. It's an annoyance at the worst, so I'll get that done in the new year, along with the wheel alignment check that you've already done, because when you're going in a straight line, and this really annoys me, because it didn't do this before, the wheel is slightly to the left when you're going in a straight line. They've charged me £165 for a test drive, which is presumably their standard hourly rate. Fair enough, I don't mind that, but I reckon 5 minutes they've spent, maybe, up and down the road. This is immediately obvious. How was that not spotted? It annoys the hell out of me, because now we have to drive all the way back to Leeds. So it's like an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, a few hours whilst they're working on it. I've lost essentially most of a day because someone couldn't be asked checking the car properly. So what's the total amount then, including VAT? What effectively has this bill come to from Tesla? Well, including the January stuff, which obviously has been done on a separate bill, so let me add that on. A £3,000 and let's call it £50. £3,050 to get the shitbox back to, well, as good as it could be. It's not just the Tesla bill though, is it? Tyres need to be added onto this. Let's round that off to £850 for the Michelin e-Primacy tyres, fully fitted all round, with the 3,050 quid, so that's £3,900 I've spent on top of the £11,500 of the car. So let's call that £4,000, because I had some cleaning stuff that I had to do on the 5 days I spent detailing this thing. So let's say £4,000, so £15,500. That's what this car's cost me. Now, just bear in mind, if you were looking on Auto Trader for a 2018 75D Model S, if that was from Tesla, which essentially this almost is, isn't it? Because it's had them fully check everything. It's had several suspension components replaced. It's got brand new tyres all round, which is good for another, what, 30,000 miles at the sort of driving I'll be doing, motorway driving. Everything's working. Everything inside the car's working. Everything outside the car's working. It's under warranty for the battery and drivetrain. £15,500 for a 2018 Model S. I would say that's probably about right. Maybe a little bit more than you would get, because again, if you look on Auto Trader and say, well, I can find a 2018 on Auto Trader for, I don't know, 15,500 for a 75D with less miles. But has that got new tyres? Has that had a full check from Tesla? So, you know, I'm not going to say anything other than, what do you think? For a fully checked over Model S and everything that they've found being replaced, 15,500-ish grand, is that a good value car anymore? What should I do with it? Should I keep piling the miles on, which I am so tempted to do, or do I sell it? I think I would like to get it over 200,000 miles though, and then do a full battery health check, which I should have mentioned, of course, I've forgotten this. I asked Tesla to tell me what the battery was like in terms of, do I get a report back? And do you know what they said? Absolutely, sir, we can do that for you. Your battery is in good health.
And someone actually rung me up to ask another question. I said, can you not give me any information on this? Any statistic, any percentage of degradation? Nah, we don't do that. It's just in good health. Now, I know there's the service thing I can do in here, but what I'm going to do is wait until I hit 200,000 miles, which won't take that long at all, given the mileage I do, and then do a 200,000 mile battery health report. But what I can say is that I'm getting about 200 miles out of this 75D. It's not that efficient with it being dual motor, big heavy Model S. It's not as efficient as the Model 3, for example. But in winter, so right now it's 3 degrees, 5, 6, 7 degrees probably being the average. I'm getting about 200 miles on motorway journey predominantly going to work and back. So that's the 200 mile round trip. So it's about right. I would guesstimate that we're at about 90%, 88, 90% sort of state of battery health after 187,000 miles. It's amazing, isn't it? When I first started this channel, over 9 years ago, people were telling me my Nissan Leaf, oh, you're going to need a new battery after 3 years, 3 or 4 years at best. A few years later, 5 or 6 years you'll get out of battery at best. A few years later, you might get 7 or 8 years out of a EV battery. They're useless. Now, 2024, nearly 25, I'm getting, they'll do 10 years if you're lucky. It's amazing the pattern that has come about, isn't it? And look at the comment section over the years on my channel if you really want to. Whether you believe it or not, I don't really care. If you want to put a comment in saying how bad EVs are, brilliant. That helps the channel. Any interaction helps the channel. So if you're anti-EV, go nuts. Have a go at me. Tell me I'm a shill for the woke industry. I really don't care. But that's, for me, proof that when they're looked after, let's use that caveat. When they're looked after, which Tesla always have done, and pretty much every other manufacturer is doing now, they'll last a lot longer than people think. If you've got any ideas to do with this, is there any videos that you want me to do regarding this? Because I'll either go to keeping it and pile the miles on, and then every now and then maybe an update, or at some point in the new year, let's just sell it and then look for another content car. Let me know before I do get rid of it. So thanks ever so much for watching. This is now a Model S again. It feels like a Model S. Autopilot, that the sound system's awesome, everything's working, it's in fantastic condition, inside especially. I mean, look, that seat's done 189,000 miles nearly. 87,000 miles anyway. There's no wear on the bolsters. There's no wear anywhere really, apart from on the inside of this fabric. The steering wheel's a bit shiny in parts, but that's about the only interior thing that says I've done lots of miles. And I have to say, hats off to Tesla for their build quality. Thank you if you are a member. Thank you if you are a subscriber. It makes a huge difference. Again, let me know if there's anything that you think I should do with this. So thanks ever so much for watching. Have a great Christmas, and I'll see you soon.